I am Senior Chang, and I'm so ill. This is a warning, I can't be killed. All in your cabeza without a chaser. Not another teacher with this much flavor. Get your hands up for Espanol. The Spanish evil genius, they're probably the meanest. Say hello to part 2, a classic caliente. It's one settle dos, and I know how much you miss me. I'm Chang, and I cannot die. I'm Chang, and I cannot die. I'm Chang, and I cannot die. No, I cannot die. No, I cannot die. I'm Chang.
All right, can you tell us how you became the writer of this particular episode?
I mean, the short answer is there's no particular reason why I was the writer on this episode. Like a lot of sitcoms, you just you sort of break stories somewhat collaboratively. You throw around, especially at the beginning of the season, you'll toss around a bunch of ideas as a big group in a room. No one's taking ownership of anything, and then when it comes time to dole out scripts, you literally just go right through the seniority, the batting order of seniority. So I must have been I was the second most senior person on staff that year, so I got to write the second episode. That's really how it came about. And one thing that surprised me when I was looking at our notes from that era, I had forgotten, but we were for quite a while according to the timestamp here, June of 2011, when we were breaking this story. For quite a while, this was going to be Annie's move.
Oh wow!
Oh.
So we knew this would have been So like in the preseason of season 3 in the summer, when if the writers gather around right after Labor Day, typically, after Memorial Day, May or June is when the writing starts and production starts sometime in August. So in June of 2011. We knew that we were going to do an Annie moving episode, that she was going to move in with Troy and Abed. And I guess we had, for a long time, we thought that would be the second episode. And at some point it got pushed.
How did you get Martin Starr?
In the early breaking of it, that was going to be John Hodgman.
Oh.
I just know that I'm not sure what, how it happened, but I know that in our early notes we thought of that character as John Hodgman.
Okay.
And I'm not sure when it became Martin Starr, but how we got him was Allison had just worked with him on a small movie. What movie was it? I don't know. Someone will have to look it up.
Save the date.
Save the date.
Date. And so she knew him and she was friends with him, and I think she might have come in and lobbied for, let's get. I just worked with this guy. He's really funny.
Okay.
And who gave him the name Clegoris?
Brilliant.
Oh, that was me.
That was you.
When I typed it on the page, I thought, this is going to change.
No way.
Every time we sat down to revise it, I kept waiting for someone to tell me to change it, and no one told me to change it. And then, honestly, there are jokes that writers do where you go like, this probably only amuses me, but to me, my favorite stupid thing about this, I don't even know if it made it into the episode. Does he say either pronunciation is fine?
Yes,
Yep.
I was literally just about to say, it is just the most brilliant. It just every time it gets me. Just completely unaffected. Other one. So good.
Well, I'll just become a parody of myself and ask you about the Britta plotline from this episode. And this is a great one. This is one of her best. And I'm curious, like, what incarnations did this go through? How did we arrive at this war with Chang? I'm curious.
Oh man, that's a really good question, because I'm looking through these notes. My guess is I'm going to try to play catch up really fast by just looking at our initial notes here. I believe the Britta story is a case of it came out almost fully formed, in the sense that we knew that all right, I'm backfilling a little here based on how I know things worked. I don't know, but I'm sure that at the beginning, in the in the off season, in the summer of before season 3, there was probably a long discussion about Chang and what he should do next, because he had, at the end of season 2, he was sort of he was living in the vents, right?
Yep.
And so it was like we knew that something was, Chang was every year there was always a discussion of like, is Chang, what's Chang's function going to be? What's his job going to be? So early on, at some point, we must have decided he's going to become school security, and that seemed like a really fun thing for him. And then I'm trying to think. Britta considers herself to be a world traveler. Britta wants to be Ghana because she's been there. And then I'm reading the notes here. She wants to be Ghana in the Model UN. She wants Ghana because she claims she's been there, but then you find out when she went there, she got food poisoning and she was stuck in the hotel the whole time.
That's great.
Is that from like are there early versions of this story where Britta is on the Model UN team?
I'm going to read you. These are sort of disjointed notes.
Let's do it.
302 notes. We have to subdivide the road of trials and atonement into little micro chunks. I don't know who said that. There's a period where she can't get them to immerse themselves in the reality. There's an America parallel. What's Jeff's role? Is Annie confiding in him? Britta story. So for a time we talked about an ex-boyfriend of Britta's coming back. Has Britta made peace with her past? Does she consider herself to be joining the establishment? And this boyfriend's arrival reminds her that she's sold out. So it sounds like, if I'm totally interpolating here, but it sounds like we were hunting down something about Britta and a crisis of her, conscience for herself. And that for at least a day, because they're in these notes, we thought an ex-boyfriend shows up, and that makes her question the choices that she's made. Someone who's still out there being an anarchist. And then we go, Britta thought that someone's pitched the thought of someone having got to participate in. Maybe Britta hears through the grapevine that her old mentor died trying to sink a whaling boat. So that was the initial incarnation of it. First, Britta has an ex-boyfriend from her anarchy days who shows up, and then she gets the news that her old anarchist mentor, which is a funny concept.
Yeah, that's not how those work.
I need one of those.
Become an
I have a couple of those if anybody wants a good recommendation.
But
Try
conceptually,
and hold
some of
them to
those
a
ideas
schedule, though.
show up. So conceptually,
Oh my
some of
God.
those ideas show up in later seasons.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So
yeah.
they were floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with Blade, the ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then in the beta male bondage, she encounters her ex group of friends who've all
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
right.
But they've gone mainstream, and she's disappointed in them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Britta can be out front trying to rally against. So then someone suggested Britta was not participating in the Model UN, which is how we ended up going, right?
Yeah.
And then so it looks like we were torn between her, because it certainly could have been we could have gotten a lot of mileage out of her being Ghana. This is a good joke. Someone pitched this for Britta, saying she wanted to be South Africa because she wanted to support the African people.
Oh no!
Oh, man.
Oh no!
Wow, man.
Britta, no, Britta.
No.
It's like
Not like
spot
this.
on though.
Yeah, it's right on the money.
Any
for
of
her.
those would have been good. It would have.
Any of them would have been good.
Yeah.
No,
How do you get to the end of the window? I've made you co-host, by the way. So if you do, I think you can now share something if you decide to.
Oh, wait, hold
Just
on a
a
second. Oh,
promotion.
yeah. Where did?
Be sure you have all of your other tabs closed.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Compiled notes, compiled notes from 6/23/2011.
Wow.
They're pretty cryptic. There's an America parallel where America starts the UN and presides over squabbling countries. Oh, so someone said we can pull the plug on the anarchist boyfriend. I guess
He was gonna die. He was in critical condition.
that's probably Dan coming in and saying, I don't want to do that. But you can see what's Jeff's role. Is Annie? We're trying to figure out Jeff's role, ex-boyfriend. This is great. Britta considers herself a world traveler. Oh, I'm the world's poor. Do with that what you will.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So good. Is this part of what writers' assistants do, Andy? Do they take the minutes and send them out to all the writers?
Yeah, it's such a thankless job, especially in those early days in the season when you're just free-form brainstorming, and a poor writer's assistant. It should be a court reporter, but they're just trying to keep up, trying to jot down what's important because they can't catch everything. And then, I mean, here's the saddest thing, and no one's going to see this, right? So I can say this. That very often,
we can cut that.
Cut.
Writers' assistants will toil and do this and create these documents and send it out. Send them out every night, and most likely I didn't read this when it was emailed to me because I was like, well, I was there. I don't need to be reminded.
Notes are for suckers.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, thank you. That was a beautiful answer. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you can see. All right, yeah, all right. Let's get more questions.
I have a question about, now that we've established that at first it wasn't going to be a Britta, and Chang cop and protester kind of dynamic. That happens to be incredibly relevant right now. What was the conversation like? Because I have a hard time believing that y'all didn't, even though it is a comedy, y'all didn't talk about themes, at least in a sense of a satire kind of discussion. Like, what were the hopes, maybe, I guess, that you had as a team behind what you were trying to say about this dynamic? I mean, there is a level of, it's just goofy, and there's stuff that's completely irreverent and has nothing to do with that actual dynamic, but there are nuggets of truth that line the foundation. I was just wondering what that conversation kind of sounded like. That's
such a good question. And I guess I would describe it this way, which is that it's like, you have like a comedy brain and a story brain. Mm-hmm. And it's like in a comedy writer's room, you're basically, the first thing you're looking for is irony. Mm-hmm. And so it's obvious, you can see it in the notes. Like when we said Britta wants to be Ghana or Britta wants to be South Africa because she feels for the African people. Right. That's just us hunting for irony and finding it, that would have been fantastic, or at least a good joke. So the initial pit, I'm sure that the initial rush of adrenaline we got with Britta was just the easy irony of this person who used to protest, who gets jealous when she hears that an old friend of hers got arrested for something or is in trouble. Basically sure. the midlife crisis of an anarchist is funny.
Yeah.
So theme wise, we probably didn't have any idea what the theme was at that moment. We were just thinking like, oh, there are funny jokes that come right out of this that you could just, that's like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? And, she's that kind of attitude. And then with but also, and then I'm guessing really, because I don't remember those conversations. I just know that once you put Chang in it, you realize that the other thing that happened on Community a lot, it happens on a lot of sitcoms, is that you're searching for the parallel story in our serious media world. In other words, as soon as you have Britta and Chang as a cop and a criminal, mm-hmm. You quickly get to, well, we sure could play the trope of that this is like a marriage, that they both need each other, that they both mm-hmm. define each other. It's like that kind of stuff just grows out of it immediately. Like her life, Britta's Britta's what Britta craves is to be caught and arrested and abused by the system.
Sure. Without the state, there's nothing to rebel against.
Right. Without the state, there's nothing to rebel. Yes. Yes. Amazing observation. And it also becomes a personal story because it's like you could play the love story trope of it.
For sure. Which is definitely one of my favorite aspects of it. I just remember very viscerally when watching it most recently, the way that Chang and the other cop talk about there's a very specific kind of reference to the way that they kind of directly relate their role with brutalizing people. Yeah. You know, and giving Chang a taser for a laugh is this really dark betrayal of, because you're expecting, it's set up at the beginning that he's a security guard. He's like, if you see something go wrong, call a cop. You know, it's very much we're not cops. Like, we don't treat people like cops treat people. And then he lets into this story of like, man, and then I saw this cop beat the crap out of someone and I was so jealous. And that to me kind of like hit a very real nerve to me, because there's this kind of dynamic about what draws you to being a cop. It's a power play, you know? Yeah. I thought that was a cool note to play on.
So right. And also it's like you wouldn't make that joke today. You know, it's too real today.
Well, I mean, I think you could make it today, and you should make it today.
I guess depending on what network you're on. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That's for sure.
Oh, you could Rick and Morty this one easy.
Oh yeah.
100%. Yeah. It may not go over well on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but Rick and Morty.
I have no idea what they're doing. Not to go too far off, but when I heard that Brooklyn Nine-Nine trashed all the episodes they started, and they're starting a new one, I'm so curious as to what their response to all this is going to be. And I'm actually really excited because Brooklyn Nine-Nine are the only cops that I like.
Oh, it's an amazing, you know this is an aside too, but I'm working on Bless the Harts, and we right around the time when all this stuff started. All this stuff started years and years ago, but when did it really come to a head recently was like whenever Brooklyn Nine-Nine made that announcement, like 3 months ago, and we were just about to introduce a couple of cop characters to our world on our show, and all of a sudden the defund the police movement starts, and we went to work the next day saying like we probably should just back off. I mean, there's just no one's ready to laugh at this. And then another writer friend of mine said, I bet you Brooklyn Nine-Nine's having a hell of a time. And I said, oh no, you know what? They've got it figured out, because I worked there for a year, and they were incredibly woke, and they had figured out how to walk that tightrope, I think, really, really well. And I said, they don't have a problem. They're not, because, you know, the bad guys on that show are usually Russian mob. You know, it's basically the bad guys are cartoon characters who don't exist in our world. And the things that they do, it's like, I was so sure of myself that Brooklyn Nine-Nine would have no trouble. And then 2 days later, they announced that they were re-breaking all their...
When did you land on Hello by Lionel Richie?
Your choice.
Because what ends up happening on every TV show, we deal with it all the time on Bless the Harts. In fact, I just got an email from our producer saying, you know, you guys are $200,000 over budget on your music for the season. We had to go through and cut a bunch of pop songs. But yes, so what ends up happening is sometimes you break a story where it's like, oh, it has to be this song. This song would be great. And then you pursue it, and then you find out that it's way more expensive than, the studio doesn't want to pop for that song. Or if you do buy that song, it may impact your budget for the next 3 episodes. So you end up doing a lot of, very often you don't get to go with your first choice of music. But boy, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how that song came into it, when it came into it.
If you want to make the Dave Matthews Band joke, you got to have the Dave Matthews Band song. And
so Dave Matthews Band was in from the very beginning. And then we wrote ourselves into a corner with that.
So is Bless the Heart's going to have Daybreak playing a lot in the next season?
Oh my God!
That'd be great.
Man, we should.
It's gonna happen now that you said that, Matt.
Now that you said it.
Consulting producer Matt Pritchard.
Yeah.
Well, the
Oh, look at that. Hello was in the original writer's draft. I stand
There you go.
corrected. Stand corrected.
I think y'all blow your song budget for this season real early. But you're like this and Roxanne, and then you make Daybreak work for like 20 more.
That's getting your money's worth. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I do have I guess it's a little, not this specific episode, but so there's the part where Annie's got the TV, and I've heard you talk about in some interviews and other podcasts and stuff. So there's the funny things Allison Brie was doing with the TV and on the phone, and then another one was the kind of similar thing, but taking a picture of the first kind of printing of the anus flag, and how. So I just thought it really fun how you are kind of intending to send these to Dan and saying, like, kind of checking in, look at this fun stuff going on. I was wondering if there's any other, like, is that just a regular thing that you always try to do to just keep in touch, or if there's any other really fun stories like that of other random phone
You just
shots
reminded me.
or-
You know what? I haven't watched this episode. It's in a long, long time. I actually just forgot about that TV moment until you mentioned it. Yeah. So when did I? And do I have video of that? I must have.
you said in the commentaries you deleted it because it was weird to have that on your phone.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
From the director's commentary, it was probably fresh in your mind. So.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Because the cast was, the cast was a bunch of fucking idiot children. Fucking
I love it.
We could, like so much of the time on set, God bless them. I mean, they just loved each other so much and had so much fucking fun together that it was often hard to get them to you'd want to indulge this bit, because everyone's laughing and Annie's like shaking her boobs on the TV screen. Sorry, Allison, and also you're like, well, we need to. Can you guys focus for a second because we're ready to roll? I mean, this is adorable. Yeah, I remember it now. She was doing a bunch of commercials or something like that. She was just basically, Danny was pretending to change the channel. Danny had like a pretend remote control, and then every time he clicked, Allison did a different improv, and it was like a combination of like commercials and shows and stuff, and almost all of them got sexual. And I'm pulling out my phone and I'm like, oh, this is so great. I'm gonna send this to Dan. I'm gonna send this up to the writer's room and show them. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, I can't have this on my phone.
We tend to sexualize her. Yeah.
we try not to sexualize her.
But she on her own does plenty.
Yeah. We don't do anything. She does everything.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the has anyone ever spilled this? I'll tell you the kind of in-jokes that were happening on the set is that for a long time during season 2, Donald and Joel had a running gag, and the whole point of the gag, this is wrong on every possible level. The whole point of the gag was that Donald would rush in, acting scared, saying, "You guys, there's a thief here. There's a thief on the loose." And Jeff would say, "Oh no, there's a thief. What's he doing?" And Donald would say, "He's a penis thief. He's gonna take everyone's penis." And then Jeff would say, "What do I do? What do I do?" And then Donald would say, "You've got to hide it in my mouth. You've got to hide it in my mouth." And he would kneel down, and then Jeff would pretend to.
Oh wow! knows where to whip out the
So
camera.
much. I love it so much. Wow.
So that was the environment that I walked into. Yeah, that was like on my first day of shooting the Space Bus episode. And they're like doing this bit, and then someone pulled me aside. Who was shooting that? Anthony, one of the Russos pulled me aside and said, "These guys do a lot of bits."
Oh, great. Wonderful.
That's beautiful. That's
Oh, I love bits.
That's good. Okay.
When did the fart come in to turn this story into this?
That's fucking hilarious. We were basically.
Well, we pause it.
We were trying to. Oh yeah, let's pause it. We were
Yeah, I'll
trying
go
to
ahead and
break
pause
the
it here.
story, and we were sitting in the room. We were pitching it to Dan. Like we had gotten at a certain point, and so we all were, a group of writers were sitting in a room with Dan, thinking that we didn't know that basically there was like a crisis that something needed to happen to make people mad at each other. And we didn't know what it could be. And every version of this was like they get into a disagreement about something. And then when I'm not sure quite why, but when you think about it now, there wouldn't have been enough room in the story. Like we were just having too much fun with the floating heads to try to build up some sort of disagreement. And then, so Adam County was walking us through the story circle, or like, and he was just going like, okay, so then, and then it's going pretty well, and then they're starting to win, and then I don't know, something happens, someone farts, and then like he clearly just said it as a placeholder.
wow.
Because I don't know, something happens, someone farts or whatever, and then they're mad at each other. And then there was like this pause, and Dan said, "I think that has to be it."
I was worried that y'all had like lived it. That was where it came from.
Oh, you're not that someone farts.
We had not lived it. It was a placeholder pitch.
Love that.
Okay.
Love that.
Because the
Happy
lines
accidents.
about it are really good. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
my
the
God.
perfectly like juvenile thing to happen when they're doing United Nations, like the peacekeeping, like they're negotiating all these serious things. I like the cut in of Garrett saying like a genocidal dictator has. They're just like, shut up about that. We're dealing with a fart right now.
I also love that they're like it falls apart, but they're not like fighting. They just all start like laughing and
right.
together. It's
Fighting.
not it's not a fight. It's
Yeah, it breaks the tension, is what it's yeah.
exactly.
It's a wee bit of conflict. I was reminded I have like one last question for you. So
Yes.
one of the things that makes Community so special when I think back to it is its ability to manipulate a pastiche when it wants to be able to take an episode and say, let's do this completely different, like contemporary American poultry and things like that. What was that? Is that something that when you went into the room, it was like, we're doing a mafia episode, or we're doing like, for Ass Crack Bandit, we're doing, one of like with this kind of like suspense thriller, like, what is that? First of all, what brings up that kind of environment where you feel free enough to play in that kind of realm? And also, what are those days like when you're like, that's it, we're doing a weird one today, folks? Like, what is that like?
All right, we'd like to do Ken Burns. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah. Oh my God. That really comes from Dan Harmon and his Channel 101 days. I know I've heard him talk a lot about how that the game with Channel 101 was that you would make anyone who wanted to could make an episode of could invent a TV show, and then they would vote every week. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Channel 101. It was Dan's earlier effort that was like a combination of a website and also a community of filmmakers. But he said what evolved because of Channel 101 was that people started realizing I did an episode of like a goofy sitcom, but if I want to stay on top, I have to keep reinventing it, or people will get bored with it. And that's when they discovered genre, keeping the characters and changing genres. And so, that was in the DNA of Community, I guess, from late in
Sure.
season 1.
Yeah.
But the answer is like, we felt we would not, the wrong way to do it is to come in and say, I think we should do a Goodfellas episode, because that would never get any traction. In fact, I tried, Hillary Winston and I both came in around the same time, or I came in once and I said, we should do something like Sliding Doors. We should do like a multiple timelines episode. And she said, I pitched Sliding Doors. It's like nothing, coming in and just saying Sliding Doors would not get Dan's motor running. What was more effective was when you're breaking a story about, because the reason why our parody episodes work better than other, I'm going to come right out and say it, work better than other sitcoms parody episodes, is that there's, at the heart of any Community parody episode, there's a real story.
Right. Absolutely.
And so you would come up with the
some
story
kind of
first,
truth.
and at some point in the story breaking process, you would discover that, oh, you know what? If we did this like what was the lava?
Flora's Lava.
This other Geo reference.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but who was that filmmaker? We were like a moody. If we did this like a moody thriller, it would be cool. If we did the Troy Abed breakup story, Troy moving away story, like a moody thriller, that would be like a David Fincher thriller. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
As soon as those words get uttered, then you're like, okay, this is exciting. Let's first of all waste a day watching a bunch of David Fincher movies. And then let's jot down a list of all the tropes we want to hit. And then of course you don't get to any of those. But yeah. And then the other thing that we would do was by season 3, especially, we realized it's no longer enough for Community to just do a movie parody. It has to be it has to be a mashup, or it has to have a second element that comes into it that thwarts the initial parody. And that's how you get things like My Dinner with Abed. Yeah, like where another element sneaks in, I guess, is what, like, is that true? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they
more
got
or
the
less.
whole Pulp Fiction bit on the front end, and they're hiding My Dinner with Andre, which I had to go rent afterwards to figure out what the bit was.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that was a very common refrain in the writing, I wasn't there in season 1, but evidently it was a real breakthrough for them when they realized that in the paintball episode, Jeff and Britta would kiss. And it was kind of like something they discovered along the way, was that you do a wild blowout parody that has not a whole lot of emotional, that starts off seeming like just a romp. And then if you just put one very poignant moment in the middle of it, or at the climax of it, you end up with an incredibly deep episode because people don't see it coming. And so often when we would break a parody or like a genre thing, we really would use the word, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but someone would say, what's the Jeff Britta kiss in this story?
Right. I mean, look, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
So Community was unique in that social media was really kind of coming into its own with Twitter and everything like that when it started.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that affected the writing of the show, because of that feedback, almost instantaneous, for the good and the ill of it. What are your thoughts on that?
It was the most exhilarating. Like, I had never experienced anything like it. And yeah, the fact that there was an actual dialogue going on back and forth between the show and the fans was like just intoxicating, just amazing that it happened. And I guess you're right. It was the first time that had really taken off. And we would rush to, we would definitely read every Friday or every Thursday night. We would read the AV Club review and read and scour the comments. And then there were things that happened. There are Easter eggs all over the show where Dan is talking to fans. Like the famous one is that there was a woman named Gwynnifer. That's the woman's name. Jeff's date in the episode.
Yep.
That there's someone on Twitter. There was a person on Twitter whose screen name was Gwynnifer, who was giving Dan a hard time about something, and so he took it out on her by naming this character Gwynnifer.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so petty.
So petty.
I love that.
Did you see where the AV Club talked about how community was important for their people reading about them?
I saw
that. Was
that.
Nuts.
And I had never considered it from that perspective. So the AV Club is incredibly important to us, and we were addicted to it. And we thought, an A from the AV Club was like what we all shot for. And that's when Adam County and I were moping around, and I would go like, oh, this is going to be special. This is going to be a B or a B minus, I bet. Like we would guess the grade. But I hadn't thought about it from their perspective, the symbiotic relationship, because in that article they said the community was actually paying the bills for that website.
Wow. Yes.
They would get so many page views on Thursdays because of their community reviews that all of their other operations were basically subsidized by community.
Wow.
Hell yeah. That's great.
And we definitely want to thank Andy for spending time with us today. He is currently one of the executive producers for Bless the Harts, which has its seasons 2 premiere on September 27th on Fox, correct? Right after The Simpsons? Yes.
8:30 p.m. after
Nice.
All right. Thank you. I'll make sure I get all the names right. Thank you, Alex, Ashley, Jace, Kevin, and Ed. Did I get everybody? And Mike, my partner. Thank you for everybody for being with us, and we'll see you as soon as we can.